The Drummond class corvette is a subclass of the French Destin d'Auvergne class Aviator, or for us English speakers, an advice boat? Bit random, eh? But oh well, never mind, we know them as small corvettes. So the Drummond class would be a class of 3 vessels displacing 1,170 tons, a length of 80 metres, beam of 10.3 metres and a draft of 3.55 metres. They'd be powered by 2 diesel generators powering 2 propellers for a speed of 23.3 knots. Their range would be short, 4,500 nautical miles or 15 days, whichever came faster. Ideal for operations in the coastal waters of the Argentine coast. The ships would have a complement of 5 officers and 79 enlisted personnel. The ships would be armed with one 100mm 55 caliber main gun, capable of 78 rounds per minute, out to 6.47 nautical miles at 870 meters per second. One twin 40mm L70 anti-aircraft gun, capable out to 6.75 nautical miles at 1047 meters per second. Two 20mm Orlecan cannons, 2 50 cal machine guns, as well as 4 MM38 Exocet anti-ship missiles. These are capable of 22.67 nautical miles, and they are sea-skimming missiles, travelling at Mach 0.93, and they would be carrying an active seekhead. Finally, to wrap out the weapon systems, they'd carry 2 triple 12-inch torpedo tubes for anti-submarine torpedo. The class's sensor fits would be as follows: 1 DRBV 51 Alpha early warning tracking Gulf Pan radar, capable of a range of 102 nautical miles. 1 DRBC 32 Charlie fire control India/Juliet band radar, capable of a range of 13.5 nautical miles. 1 Decca 1226 India/Juliet band navigational radar, capable of a range of 25 nautical miles. Then finally, 1 hull-mounted sonar. Okay, so that's all the statistics out of the way. So the 3 ships. So the 3 ships of the Drummond class are the ARA Drummond, Guerco and Granville. Papa 3-1, Papa 3-2 and Papa 3-3. And these vessels would be built at Lorient in France, but not for Argentina, but for South Africa as the SAS Good Hope and Transvaal. The last one didn't actually get a name, and we'll touch on that later on. So Good Hope will be laid down in March of 1976 and Transvaal in October 1976. Just under 13 months after the Transvaal was laid down, both Good Hope and Transvaal were launched. The UN stepped in because of an arms embargo, and so, whilst Good Hope was on trials, they would be sold to Argentina in September of 1978. Now, Good Hope would be called Drummond, and the Transvaal would be called Guerco, with Granville being laid down in December of 1978. It was launched in June of 1980 and commissioned a year later. The only difference with these ships is the first 2 ships would carry the Corvus British decoy launcher, while the Granville sported the French Daguerre decoy launcher. All 3 vessels would serve in the Falklands War of 1982. Drummond took up station northeast of Port Stanley with Granville. Guerco would serve in South Georgia, who took part in the invasion, but she would be damaged by a small contingent of Royal Marines who lobbed 2 anti-tank missiles at her, one hitting her turret and the other on the waterline. She would need 3 days in dry dock to fix the damage before she rejoined the fleet as part of Task Force 79.4 alongside her sister ships north of the island. By April 29th, they started trailing the submarine HMS Splendid. Recognising the name? Well, as mentioned on Thursday's video, she was tasked to find the Argentine carrier, the 25 de Mayo. They didn't sink her though. With the war over, the ships headed back home, and they would fall into the role of patrolling the EEZ, or the Exclusive Economic Zone. In 1983, Drummond would sink the old destroyer, the Almirante Domke Garcia, with an Exocet in a live fire exercise off Mar del Plata. However, she would actually be sunk by a torpedo from the St. Louis. By 1985, the Espora class corvettes would actually join the Argentine Navy. Originally, the 3 vessels of the Drummond class would have the pennant numbers Papa 1, 2 and 3. Now they'd all have the current pennant numbers Papa 3-1, 3-2 and 3-3. The vessels would continue operating in the EEZ for years, with the occasional forays north, and the vessels would participate in Operation Uphold Democracy in 1984. That's a great name for an operation. This is where the UN blockaded Haiti. Now, during the time, they would be operating out of Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Puerto Rico. By 1995, it was reported that Granville had harassed a number of trawlers around the Falklands, but they were confronted by the Falklands War veteran HMS Diligence. She would then fall back, and Diligence continued on her merry way. After this, they continued operating in the EEZ, with Guerco serving as a support ship for the tall ships race from Buenos Aires to Rio de Janeiro. By 2010, 30 years of service had passed them, and it is this time for Drummond to start annoying the British off the Falklands. However, instead of HMS Diligence this time, it was HMS York, a stretch Type 42, and this came barreling along to shepherd her away from the islands. Not gonna lie, I really wouldn't mess with a stretchy 42 in something that weighs more, just slightly more, than an actual yacht. But there's a catch to this little story. It was published in the Sun newspaper, so take it with a pinch of salt. Now, the story was published in the middle of the diplomatic dispute between the United Kingdom and Argentina about oil drilling, escalating the crisis as the first quote-unquote head-to-head over the Falklands row. Now, the British Ministry of Defence quickly issued a denial of it, and a spokesperson said the incident had actually occurred a month earlier, before the oil dispute began. Both ships were in the same zone in international waters during rough weather at night. After a friendly dialogue by radio, each had continued on its merry way. Now, open source intelligence suggests that after November of 2012, the Drummond class hardly puts to sea because of lack of resources for operations. And according to Wikipedia, it says it's still in commission. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so that's the end of that video. Hopefully you learned something new, because I most certainly did. Now, if you want to go and support the channel, there is a link in the description below to the Patreon page. I would recommend doing it, but it's up to you. Also, if you want to come and talk to me, there's a link in the description for the Discord channel. There's a couple of good guys over there. We talk about a wide variety of stuff. So yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Hit that notification button to stay up to date with what I'm uploading. And obviously give it a like, give it a subscribe if you really want to, and comments always good. I like reading your comments. So take care. Catch you next time.